to the Challenge to Change podcast. My name is Hazel, and this podcast is all about the little changes we can all make that will have a positive effect upon planet Earth. If you're new here, welcome. If you've listened before, welcome back. The Challenge to Change podcast has been brought to you on behalf of ANSA Environmental Services. To find out more about ANSA, please visit ANSA, which is ansa.co.uk. Let's get into the podcast episode. Before we dive into this podcast episode, I'm going to share a quote with you. Now, I used to share a quote at the beginning of every podcast episode, but I haven't done so for some time, and this feels like a good day to reconvene. These words are an extract of a poem by Sappho, and if you don't already know of Sappho, you can find out more about her online. These are the words. Like a sweet apple turning red high on the tip of the topmost branch, forgotten by pickers. Not forgotten, they couldn't reach it. Now, those are beautiful words, and I don't know what poem they belong to, or Sappho's meaning behind those words, but it may relate to unrequited love, or perhaps something that is just out of reach. However, in this case, it gently glides us towards the theme of this podcast episode, which is the unreachable ideal of being perfectly ethical. Now, not everybody might want to be ethically perfect, and that's okay. But if being ethical is a huge part of who you are, it can be challenging when other people, or maybe even yourself, doesn't quite measure up. And maybe some people listening can relate to that. I certainly know I can. So I'm going to share an example. As regular listeners to the Challenge to Change podcast will know, I am perhaps a little bit obsessed with zero waste shopping. And whenever I can, I tend to opt for zero waste products or refillable products, and it's something that's pretty important to me. But sometimes maybe I get a little bit too focused on it, and it starts to colour many aspects of my life. So what do you do if your refillable shower gel doesn't quite measure up to regular shower gel? Do you persevere? Or is its ability to operate as a shower gel actually perfectly fine, and it's just somehow that the idea of something ethical doesn't feel as super cleaning as something that has a very strong perfume, and that perfume lasts on your skin for several hours after showering. So perception more than reality, perhaps. And also, are we so used to washing ourselves with harsh chemical shower gels that when we opt for something more gentle, is there a transition period like there is for shampoo bars? Now, on a personal level, I don't have an issue with refillable shower gels. I think they work fairly well. However, not every member of my household agrees with that. And in fact, it has been something of, shall we say, a domestic hiccup for some time. One person wants to wash with a strong smelling chemical-filled shower gel, and the other, me in this case, wants to use a gentle, less scent-infused, refillable shower gel. So you arrive then at something of a stalemate. But Everyone, of course, has the right to wash themselves the way they choose to. So, with that in mind, as we've moved through this kind of awkward period, we now have 2/3 of the house using refillable shower gel and the other third of the house using standard shower gel that you might buy from a supermarket or a pharmacy. But, and this is a happy ethical but, I've been able to balance this out by choosing shower gels and body washes from charity shops. If you're super thrifty or someone that regularly shops in charity shops, as I do, you will know that many of them have shower gels on sale. And these shower gels and body washes are items that have been donated, but they are essentially second-hand in that they have not been produced for the shop in question. They don't form part of that manufacturing process. And again, as many people will already know, there's usually a fair amount of options. So you can wander into a charity shop and you may well see 4 or 5 different types of shower gel on offer. And as I say, because they're donated, there's no contribution to the production of virgin plastic. There are tiny amounts of carbon emissions associated with that purchase, and of course, you help the charity shop with their particular cause. And as a side note, of course, you do make a cost saving as well. So, tracking back to Sappho's beautiful words. So whilst I would prefer to reach for the red apple on the topmost branch, I can't reach it. So I've opted for a slightly less red apple, if you will, on a lower branch. In other words, I have allowed some of my more exacting ethical standards to be more translucent, more pastel, if you will. And in so doing, the household is happier. Ethics are still being met, but just not exactly as I'd like them to be. Another example is this. Now, if you don't know me in real life, you won't know that I tend to have purple hair, or sometimes it's blue, or sometimes it's a variation on these colours. And if you have dyed hair in fairly outlandish colours, then shampoo bars are wonderful and zero waste, but they can be difficult for dyed hair. Some contain essential oils, which strips your hair dye, and none of them create that freshly dyed look several weeks after application. Now, most people that dye their hair haven't got the time or the money to dye it every week. And also the ethics of that do seem slippery. More products, more cleaning of the shower, more plastic waste and so on. So you opt to extend your hair dye colour. It's also more convenient that way. But you cannot extend the colour of your hair with shampoo bars. Or so I thought. But I've recently found a purple shampoo bar that is designed for blonde or grey hair. And it's the type of shampoo that adds a purple pigment to balance out the brassiness of your hair. However, as people who dye their hair purple or shades of purple will know, you can also use it to add a hint of purple to your hair. And in fact, actually, if you've got blonde or grey hair or silver hair for that matter, you can also use this type of shampoo to add like a lilac-y purple sheen to your hair. You just have to leave it in for ages and ages. And basically you have to wrap your hair up in an old towel, go off and do the housework, watch TV, make sure that the shampoo doesn't drip, and then ages later you return to the shower to wash it off. So it's pretty much like dyeing your hair really, but you're using shampoo to do it, if you will. And I have done this before, of course, with shampoo contained in a virgin plastic bottle. And I should note that when I've done it before, I don't use that type of shampoo all the time, so it does last for a really long time. However, this is not Sappho's Bright Red Apple. And in fact, washing my hair in that way isn't even on the lower branches. In other words, ethically speaking, it's not that great. So I'm hopeful that this zero waste purple shampoo bar does the trick. Upon opening it just a few days ago, I have noticed that it has gotten some shampoo onto the top of the cardboard that it came in. So that's promising. And don't worry, I won't be recycling that part of the cardboard box. And it was also very small, so I don't need to berate myself for that either. But I can put the rest of the cardboard box in my recycle bin. So you may be interested to know whether this worked, or maybe not, I don't know. But if you are interested to know, I can't tell you yet because I haven't yet tried out the shampoo bar. But I can tell you that it looks very purple. I can tell you that it was vegan and cruelty-free. And of course, you already know it came in a very small cardboard box. And because I received it in the post, it also came in an outer cardboard box as well to protect it on its journey. So there was no large amounts of packaging, there was no plastic or anything like that. So it did seem pretty ethical. But the proof will be in the shampooing of my hair. So when I've done that, I will share the outcome as a side note to a future podcast episode. So what can we take from these findings? What can we kind of summarise based on this podcast episode? Well, I think it's pretty good form to reach for the shiniest apple of ethics, to try and keep on trying to make a difference. But if you don't quite make it, that's okay. It's only about trying to make a difference, about doing our best, but not berating ourselves for not achieving our best. And I suppose really that applies to the whole of life, doesn't it? We don't have to be perfect. Balance matters. But we definitely shouldn't stop reaching for that shiny red apple as described by Sappho. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you have found some of the information within useful and helpful to you. And of course, I will be back really soon with another episode. Thanks so much for listening. Bye for now.